Just a quick intro. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Amanda. I run a meetup here in Amsterdam called SheSharp. We primarily focus on women in tech, bringing the women in tech community together, and also entrepreneurship. And we're a not-for-profit group, but we try to host events every month. And especially during quarantine times, we thought it was a great idea to start highlighting entrepreneurs from around the world. And Aminka has been a close friend of mine for some time, and she's had a great story on how, and many of us have a very non-linear, non-traditional path into entrepreneurship. So we thought it would be amazing to highlight her story today with SheSharp and our international community who have joined us today on the call. So without further ado, Aminka, I'm just going to hand it off to you. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to write them in the chat and we'll be able to kind of handle them at the end as well. Thanks.
Perfect, everyone. I just wanted to get another video loaded here. All right. So thank you guys so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here. As Amanda said, we went to school together, so it was, and we got to work on actually a couple projects together as well. So I've always been an admirer of Amanda's work. She's so multi-talented. And so I'm so honored to be able to talk to you ladies here a little bit about my journey into the industry and things that I do. And most importantly, sharing life lessons, anything that I've learned during this time of my experience, which is still young in the industry in terms of the numbers, and as well also to anything that I can do to kind of inspire or share you guys off. All right. So I'm actually going to start with a little bit of a quick poll. I know everybody was like doing a little introduction here. So I want to know how many of you guys, yes or no, did you study computer science or computer engineering in your university or college education? So there's going to be a poll that's going to prompt to your screen, and you can just go ahead to answer yes or no. Perfect. So everyone has responded. So now we're going to publish the poll and kind of see. So 2 had said yes, and then 4 had said no, which is kind of really interesting in the sense that this is really an interesting trajectory of how individuals have entered the tech space. And I think what's so good about tech is that it really is an industry and it's a space rather than so much just like a function. Just as any business or any function in terms of like a boat, right? Everyone needs to play a certain part. And what's also good is as tech was growing as an industry in terms of influence and being able to create solutions and also to products that really affected everybody's life, there has been more interest to come into the industry because now we all are using some form of an email. And so whether it's Gmail or Live, we're all now using some form of email automation, whether it's Buffer or whether it's MailChimp. With COVID-19, we're all using some form of a video conferencing platform, right? So more and more increasingly technology is becoming a part of our lives. And at the same time, what that is doing is that it's allowing more individuals to be in the space of technology. Because before, where it was just purely computer science and just purely coding and building computers, before we understood technology can be commodified and could be a commodity, something that we could share and exchange. It was very limited about who can be involved. Now we realize that it's so important to have user X designers, graphic designers, we're user experience designers, behavioral scientists, data scientists. So not only are we just building products and commodities and solutions, but we're also understanding who are we building it for, and are we building things in a sustainable way? What do our teams look like? What is the influence that we have in the world? And are we really managing the influence that we have within technology so that we are not just creating products and software, but we're really changing the world and solving problems. I really believe that technology at its forefront and the innovation of it is to solve problems. Simple things that we didn't like to do can now be solved. People who are messy and don't like to vacuum their home can use one of those rumor vacuums that will just automatically go around and vacuum your place, and it has a sensor inside of it to know when it is going towards a wall or having any interference. So one can say this is eliminating tasks that people don't like. So therefore, now tech is becoming more something really useful and, again, creating solutions to our problems. So I want to ask you guys another question as well. Do you guys agree with me that technology in its core is to solve problems that we don't really want to solve ourselves? So we'll go ahead and say true or false. What do you think? Okay, let's see, we got a little bit of a difference. So 4 say true and 2 said false. So I want to know in the chat, those who said false, why do you think so? Why do you think that it's a false statement that technology is to solve the problems in our lives? And for me, I believe that technology is to solve the problems in our lives, but technology alone cannot solve our problems in our lives. Because it's connected to humans. Whether you are writing a code, a human is writing this code. And certainly in the space of machine learning and also to AI, we're getting to where we are having computers and bots being replicated, such as humans, to be able to fulfill that function. The issue is there is an error because a human still has to touch and create a robot. When we get to this space, and I really believe that we will have this in the future, where bots are creating bots with a really pure mind and a pure set of data in terms of where biases and preconceived notions are not included in the code, and also in the algorithms of what the machine learning is going to pick up in terms of the cognitive behavioral understanding. So I think until that point, yes, one could say technology is not solving our problems, but it's not the actual technology that is the issue. It's how we interact with it, right? It's us. So how do I interact with technology? How do I use technology as an entrepreneur and as a business leader in this space and a professional, so that I am focusing on creating solutions to some of the problems that I see in the world that perhaps were not created by me, but were created by other people? So Caroline says, we make the assumption that technology is the answer, and then every problem becomes a tech problem. That's not necessarily true. That's true. And I agree with the second thing of what you said. Every tech problem is not, it says every problem becomes a tech problem. And I agree, not every tech problem is a tech problem. It's really a human problem. And it all comes back to human interaction. And I really believe that if we are to focus and innovate, we need to first understand, how do we interact as humans, and how do we want to move forward and innovate in the world? Are we trying to innovate because we really just want to have a show of egos and a show of skills and who is smarter, who can land a human to live on Mars faster? Or what are we really using our research for, and how are we banding technology? So my vision and how I see the world in every area that I work in, how I apply everything that I do, really is summarized in this quote. Imagine if we create an equitable society for all. What solutions could we invent? More importantly, what problems could we solve? Let's provide everyone equity to compete for their own personal best. And what this means is that it summarizes, technology is a tool and a resource. And who are we allowing those to use technology to create problems for themselves? Who has access to a computer? Who has access to high-speed internet? Who has access to algorithms? Who has access to data? And how are they using that so that we're making our world better, right? And when I first started this conversation, I was asking about, what was your introduction to technology, this space? And the reason that I asked that is that if we are looking at creating an equitable society, if that is our mission as humans and in this space, then it doesn't matter from what trajectory you enter the technology space, but it matters in how you use those skills to move the industry forward, right? So some of the greatest inventions have came from non-coders, but have taught themselves to code. And I think that it's very important that in this very evolving world, and how we understand, how do we work with each other, how do we create better algorithms, it's very important to understand How are we going to ensure that every individual, whether they're Black, whether they're a woman, whether they're queer, or whether they have limited disabilities, how can they be involved with what happens in the future and what happens now? Because we are all intersected and affected by the technologies that we use. And unfortunately, that many individuals are part of this society globally throughout the world do not have the ability to contribute to the construction of technology. So recently, the CEO of Twitter, Jeff Bezos, he was saying, Jeff Bezos is the CEO of Amazon. The CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, so he was talking about he didn't understand the effects that the reshare and the like button would have on Twitter. They did not use a behavioral scientist to be able to analyze what type of function this was going to have on the human interactions, right? And this is so important because now what you have is individuals that are sharing tweets and resharing tweets that are really being harmful to certain communities of the world, and that are also now what some can argue promotes hate speech. And so some could say this is not a part of technology, that's more of a social issue. This is not activism. I don't do activism, I just do hardcore coding. But the thing is that if you are responsible for a code that enables a hate group and that enables and provides a larger platform for individuals to spew such negativity, you are totally responsible. And that's where the place that all of us have in technology, and where we also have to be cognitive of what we're creating and how it interacts with everybody. That's a true technologist, right? That's a true front end and back end developer. That's a true marketing hack growth expert, right? Where they can say, I've created something, but how does the user interact with it? What is their impact? And these are really important questions that we all need to ask. And a lot of individuals who are trained more in the programming traditional entry point into this space do not ask those questions. And then those who come into the industry, in the space by being self-taught, or being into a role of project management, quality assurance, maybe growth marketing or UX design, this is where they apply their knowledge in this is great, but let's take a step back and let's figure out how we can all interact, because both work together and both intersect. So how did I come up with these perspectives and my theories to be able to view this space and this technology that we use in this industry? Was my first entry point into the industry was working for a startup called Adapt to Me. And as I've shown just before we started recording, there are so many different startups that individuals work through, either to get their big start as a programmer so that they can start having entry points into their portfolio, or individuals who are simply looking for a job. So in August 2015, I was working at this organization where I was designing programs, and I was looking for something else as my contract was about to expire, and I saw this marketing opportunity, actually, a marketing assistant opportunity. And I had previously transitioned from politics and policy to work in the space of marketing, social media. So this seems like it was so long ago, even though it was 5 years ago, but the world was so different than in the sense of how companies really value digital media, digital marketing, SEO, algorithms, and data and privacy concerns. Back then, it was more so like, this is really cool, and it's really was thought more so of an event space. Like, you can have social media if you're doing events to promote people, you can have social media for yourself, but there wasn't an understanding of the value of how important as a business case and for technology, how to leverage the two was important as it is today. So I took the opportunity I saw was a marketing assistant position. I had a great friend of mine who told me that if you ever have an opportunity to work at a startup, then you should really take it, because you can wear different hats and you can also really grow with the company. And should that company become very successful and you have equity, you can become rich. Like some people became rich over the Uber IPO that happened. I knew friends that had some early stocks in the company. Like, look at Beyonce and Jay-Z. They made millions off of that. So I was like, okay, this sounds really cool. Maybe I can make some millions. I mean, long story short, in that aspect, did not make any millions at all. Not yet, at least. But what I did learn at Adapt2Me are very few, 3 simple things that I want to share with you guys today. I recently shared a video, a simple ad that we did at the company. It was very, very low budget, but the ad was really effective. And Adapt2Me really is a platform that allows the individual to improve either their English or their French language skills. So we created a demo video walking individuals through the platform. So I quickly want to show this video. It's 2 minutes because it shows you the technology that I was working with and how I was able to understand the importance of understanding all aspects of a tech company: the product, the front end, the back end, the user experience, the business development, the marketing, everything that goes into putting a product on the web, a cloud-based product, and also to an iOS app. That was our video tutorial with a little like Cammy. They called him Cammy. He's like a little lizard. The whole idea of using him was that chameleons, they kind of change colors. So in this platform, it wasn't just simple content in terms of using pedagogically content of how to learn English and French. It had a component of AI. It had adaptive learning. So you would do a diagnostic test when you first started, and then it would create you a learning path based on what you were stronger in your languages. Because some individuals are so great with the verb tense in French, but some are not in other areas of their language. So it would design an adaptive learning experience for you. And that the thought is that as long as you continue to learn, the technology would adapt to your learning. So in theory, it's a really great platform, but what I'll get to, there was a lot of arrows on the back end because it goes to what I was first talking about, this idea of separating raw coding and not understanding the user experience and how those two can really interact and impact. So I want to ask another quick question. How many of you ladies are currently working for a tech company? So if you are working for a tech company, just answer yes. If you are not, say no. Okay, great. So it's like an even 4 to 6. All right. So when I was working at Adapt2Me, and I won't really exhaust the day-to-day's experience of what it was, I wanted to share the video so you kind of had an idea of what the software that I was dealing with. So as I was sharing, I entered as a marketing assistant, and then I quickly grew to take on more responsibilities. I then became the business and marketing manager, and then was overseeing all of the product development, all of our marketing ads and our sprints, and really just soaking it up, the front end design, the front end coding, the back end coding, and everything really in between, whether it was within or without my role. And what I was learning very quickly, and I think because I have a coding background getting into Adapt2Me. Later on, I've taught myself how to code. I'm certainly probably not as a strong coder as others in this call, but I've learned further how to teach myself how to code, starting with HTML and CSS, and then hopefully by the end of the year, I'm hoping to finish up on learning some JavaScript. But what I learned coming from this perspective is that we too often in tech companies engage the code with the user and then the overall business objective. And the three need to be together. And the reason that I wanted to ask who is currently working for a tech company and who is not is to see how we can apply the things that I've learned in terms of working with this company and this product, and how I apply to building my own platform, which you guys are all experiencing today. And the benefit of not coming in from a traditional computer engineering background, but also to the challenges that you also face. So one thing that I did to really level myself up in this company and to really be able to lead it into a better position than I first found it was, number one, soak up your resources, right? There's so many resources around us, whether it's online courses, either Coursera or some of the Ivy League schools have some free courses on their own platform as well, or just simple YouTube courses with individuals teaching themselves and others how to code in different languages, how to do development sprints, how to do design thinking, and how to do graphic design. Soak up your resources. So here I was, a person who came from policy. I pivot careers very young in my career and in my 20s, which most people don't do. But I really had to find something else to do. And I was coming into this industry from, I guess you could say, a vantage point, a disadvantage point. So what I did is I soaked up all the resources. For the first time in my life, I was working with all of these developers, though they were all men. I was working with all of these developers, and I thought to myself, wow, this is an opportunity to say, hey, what are you doing over here? Like, can I just sit and watch you? Can you teach me this code? Can you do this? Because I need you to now move the pop-up button that says correct to incorrect. So can you show me the code of how you do that? So I literally did this every day. I worked alongside the developers, both our front end and our back end. I had my own office, and every day I made sure that half of the day I sat next to the developers, not to so much as a manager micromanage them, but I wanted to soak up, because I said to myself, I know I'm coming in a disadvantage, but I have an advantage that I have leadership and business skills that my team does not. But what I can do is to soak up the resources of their ability to be fabulous engineers and to be fabulous programmers. And so all of us have the opportunity to soak up the resources of who is around us. And far too often when we're a woman, we get intimidated, not necessarily because of how men will view us, but because sometimes as women, we're expected to know so much and have all the right answers and just present ourselves as perfect and ready to go, that we don't realize saying that I don't really know this is not a bad thing. I agree. We don't allow women to fail as much. We don't allow women to not know all the answers all the time. So sometimes it can be intimidating to have to accept that. But I'm telling you, it's such a benefit for your career and for your personal and professional development to soak up the resources around you, because now I can grow from a marketing assistant to a business assistant with somebody who can speak code, right? Somebody who can speak front end and back end. So when I had contractors give me some bogus proposals, I could say, this doesn't make that sense because it only really takes 2.5 hours to do this. And this would happen. They would be so shocked because they'd be like, who is this skinny, young, Black woman, non-developer telling me about my work? But I knew what I was saying because I soaked up your resources. And when you come from a disadvantaged point into this industry, in this space, and why this space is so different, because let's be honest, we are dealing with very highly capable, intelligent individuals for the most part. Right? So it's a very easy, simply slope where you could be canceled out if you're not seeing that you know your stuff. So soak up your resources. It's such an easy way to foolproof your career, but also to make sure that you stay on top of the curve. 2, prove your place. It's still very important as you are soaking up the resources that you prove your place. So for me, what does that look like? In meetings that you're speaking up, in meetings that you're presenting data. For the longest time, this company wanted to focus on simply Montreal and North America and just where we were in Montreal. And I did data and research that I wasn't asked to do. And I found out nobody in this city and country really wanted our platform. Why? Because our largest competitor in Canada was the government. When you come to Canada as an immigrant, they pay you pretty much to learn English and French, or it's readily available. But where they don't provide these resources, we're in the Middle East, we're in Central and South America, and was in Southeast Asia, where professionals are wanting to apply for their work visas, but have to do their language training before that they can get an approval letter to go to the visa office to get their work visa. So I did this research and I found out the market, the target audience and the market research proved to us it was not in our city and it wasn't even in our country, and that not even too far away, but in the United States, where they don't provide a national program in terms of language training that was also to a work opportunity. Again, this was just a space that I was in, so I'm using that example, but whatever space you're in, you have to prove yourself. And in the sense that prove yourself, not like you're a woman, so you have to go harder, or, you shouldn't be there. No, we all belong where we choose we want to be. But certainly you need to stand up and prove yourself to yourself that I'm going to show these individuals who are not only listening to me because of et cetera, that I'm here to stay and I'm here to do my work, and I'm going to prove to you that whatever misconceptions you had are wrong. And soon as I ran our first digital ad and I focused on Dubai and the Middle East, that campaign raised over 48 clicks and views of that first video that I showed you in less than 7 days, because that was the focus. Within 30 days, we had 7,000 new registered users to the platform. Whereas this company was established 3 years before I joined and was struggling to get past the 75 user mark. You have to prove yourself to yourself that you really are that badass woman who you really know yourself to be. And I think sometimes we as women get shy to prove ourselves because there's this thing that you're showing off, you're being ego. No one is saying you need to go in somebody's face and wave your fingers. No, you could do it in a soft way. I have a different personality. But I literally, even in the personality that I had, the way that I proved myself wasn't actually in a vocal way. It was through data. I presented data and I let the numbers speak for themselves. And therefore, we were able to change the trajectory of the focus of the company. Then I was able to gain more trust from the president of the company because I was able to back up the data to show it. And then on top of that, then I could just be like, well, damn, I'm gonna be all Black and all woman, because now you know what's up. And I prove that my theory and my data and the way that I want to drive this company works. So every area in your life, I think sometimes prove your place can kind of get really with a bad connotation. But what it means is that whatever you know to be true for yourself, exercise it to other people. And we also have to remember, even when you do your onboarding, your recruiting, your training, you're not exemplifying all of your skills. And sometimes some of our skills that we learn in school, or some of our skills that we obtain in professional development, aren't the ones that we use, right? I was proving myself in just my life experience as a Black woman, and as a Black girl and an immigrant girl to Canada. When I was 5 years old, I moved to Canada from Jamaica with my family. My mother married a Canadian. So in Jamaica, we really had very humble means. Moving to Canada really was an opportunity for myself and also for my family. So when I arrived, when I was 5 years old, I had a severe stutter problem. And sometimes I still even stutter to this day. And some could be so amazed because I'm articulating and speaking, but catch me on the phone sometimes. And when I'm nervous, I might have a difficult time saying certain words, but not because I'm not educated, but because I've suffered from a stutter problem. So when I was younger, I've always had to prove myself. I've always had to fight. I've always had to just, not even so much in an educational way, but just like, I'm here, I deserve attention, I deserve what's going on. And so I relied on my grit, my resilience, and my life skills and my life experience to apply that to my professional life. All of us have different challenges that we face. Whether you were the only girl in your family and you had to fight to get the last piece of chicken, I don't know. What if you're a middle child and you were always compared to your older or younger siblings and you felt inadequate because of it? All of us had a position in life where we had to be like, look, I'm here and you ain't gonna pick on me no more. So proving yourself in the workplace can be profound when you find a way to do that works for you. It doesn't have to be in a vocal, overly expressive way. It could just be in like sliding the data in and be like, by the way, your clients aren't really in this market at all, and you're wasting $1.5 billion because that's what they got to start this startup. So finally, the third transferable skills, the third professional development lesson that I learned from this experience and that I applied to Adapt to Me is transfer your skills. So when I was working for Adapt to Me, I was working out of town every 2 weeks because we realized this city really doesn't have any business for us. So I was going to Ontario a lot, and I'm really trying to work with school boards and politicians and community groups to really expand our business, get them to use our platform. And at the time, this is when the government did the response to bring in Syrian refugees to Canada. So a lot of them eventually needed language training. So we were offering free language training and tutoring support for newly arrived Syrian refugees to Canada. So I was literally going to mosques in Toronto, throughout Toronto, and meeting community groups and explaining them the service that we've had. Also to meeting with government leaders, to talking about our product and to kind of see how we can be kind of part of the learning a language process for new arrivals. So I was always traveling. And when I was traveling and advocating for a business, somebody said to me, Aminka, you're so smart, you're so articulate. He's like, why are you presenting me someone else's business? And I never thought of this in my life. Why are you presenting me someone else's business? The way that you're pitching, the way that you're presenting this product. And he's saying, I'm gonna be honest with you, I get my language training for free from the government. I only took this meeting because I know you, and I only took this meeting because I want to support you, but why are you pitching this business? He said, next time you see me and next time you ask for a meeting, it better be a meeting for your own business. And I really took that and I was like, really? And it's weird because I've always exampled leadership skills. Amanda can tell you, I was on leadership government in the university. I was very known in the University of Ottawa, in our large school. I was very known by both the administration and the president. I've always, I guess, had a personal brand without knowing I had a personal brand since I was young. Because to me, I'm just doing me. I'm out here saying what I have to say, and I'm a get it done type of person. So I never thought the way that I am advocating for this product, and I'll be honest, I'll keep it real with you, it wasn't that good. It wasn't, because those who develop it did not even think that a user would have to touch it. So the code broke every time we touched it. And I had to spend so much time to work with my developers to rebuild code that I was actually bringing in new clients to the platform while I was still breaking in contracts. So when he said this to me, I said to myself, because I never looked at what I was doing as transferable skills to something that I could apply to my own life and my own career, that I could propel a career for myself. And after I was laid off from this startup, it was owned by a larger company that did have a lot of multi-million-dollar contracts with the government. They felt it wasn't bringing enough money because there were so many faulty arrows and they didn't want to invest into fixing it. I was laid off in late 2017. And during that time, what I did is I took those transferable skills. I took betting on myself, and I took being able to take those skills to present a faulty product, which wasn't completely faulty in the sense of being dishonest, but that we knew it wasn't perfect. And to be able to say, what if you took this time off, of some of us call fun employment, and really invest in yourself the way that you took business trips to meet your contacts in another part of the country. What if you did that for yourself? What if you transformed your skills and to kind of push Aminka out there as the commodity, as the business? And so that allowed me to create a journey to where I am today. That allowed me to work on Wolfram Tech. I've always wanted to create a solution where women could advocate for themselves, but more so in creating courses. I felt all of us are so skilled, but we don't really share that knowledge with each other. And I was constantly using Cisco WebEx, and it was failing all the time. And at this time, I guess my recognizable personal brand, what you can say in a professional sense, was expanding. I was provided a position with UN Women to work on a global campaign. And in doing that, I started doing things outside of my work. I wasn't just Aminka who works for this company. I was Aminka Belvitt, XXS that does this. And so in doing that, I realized, well, what if I would create a system? Like, I had this weird idea, right? Like, who thinks about, let me create a video conferencing platform, or let me find technology that I could use as a video conferencing platform and, integrate into my server. Like, kind of weird and bizarre when I think about it. But I literally was like, number one, soak up the resources. You've been working for a cloud-based platform for over 2 years. You've proven yourself to understand, what you're doing, and you have the skills to figure it out. You have the skills to identify the technical support you need, and you have the skills to identify a target market audience. So 1, 2, 3, girl, you're ready to go. Like, let's get it. So I asked my best friend, like, what are some ideas for a tech company? And I had some names, and I came up with Wolfram Tech. And Wolfram Tech means woman femme. It's warrior femme, warrior woman. I wanted it to inspire and really be the core of what I believe and what I believe women to be. And I really believe that we have the ability to just be warriors. Some of us little quiet lamb warriors, and some of us loud lioness warriors like myself. But we have the ability to be warriors. And so I actually, in the first month of soft launching Wolfram Tech, because I launched an older version of this in 2007, but I didn't share it with the world on the global scale. I presented it to UN Women. Can you imagine your first startup? You're at the UN Women's head office, because through my work with them, my volunteer title, I found out that they were working on creating an LMS system for their global skills program. And I had just finished working with LMS system, language management system. Again, 1, 2, 3, use your resources, prove your place, and transfer those skills. So I was like, well, I can pitch it. So we did present the platform to them, and they felt they weren't ready to do a procurement, to do the whole LMS system, but they love the video conferencing aspect, which you all experience right now. Then in the same month, in the same week, I did a soft launch, testing with groups at SAP Next Gen in New York City, in the most beautiful space. So I was testing it to people who work for SAP, but also to people who use the SAP software. And again, the feedback that I got, it was that the LMS system's cool, but really, you could really find other platforms that provide content. What they did not understand, I wasn't going to provide content. The Virtual Collective was to host other people's content, to empower women to sell their courses, right? Amanda's such a talented graphic designer and developer, and I'm like, man, what if I hosted this platform where she could, sell her own 5-part course, right? And make additional further money, right? That was my thinking. But the feedback again was like, we really love this webinar capability. I think this is what could really go. We really like this. So I said, okay, went back to my team, and I was like, this is the response that we got in New York. And then in June and July of last year, we had the first version of the standalone video conferencing platform. And then just with everything in life that I've been kind of going through in terms of sharing and building Wolfram Tech. Afterwards, I end up working for I took a corporate marketing job. So that was also a lot. I also was doing more work with UN Women. I was doing more speaking engagements, and just all of this was going on. And it ended up just really having to put Wolfram Tech a little bit to the wayside. And then last year, in January, I said to myself, I was working at the marketing company, and I was working on really amazing global campaigns with the marketing. It was an eyewear company, but I was on the marketing team. I was doing all the digital ads, and like we were doing at least 30 magazine ads per month. It was industry, so there was so much work. And I said to myself, I didn't identify who I was. I couldn't recognize who was this Aminka that worked in politics when she was 15? Who was this Aminka that wanted to go save the world? Who was this Aminka that really cared about issues? Like, I'm writing a caption for a woman to sell a sunglass. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you have to, again, utilize the skills that you have, and you have to really be the warrior and who you want to be the warrior. And going back to technology, what problem are you solving with the skills that you have, right? And how are you bettering the people around you and your community with the skills that you acquired? And I felt that what I was doing did not bring any value to the world that I recognized for myself. And I said, you have this system over here, and you haven't even taken a chance on it. You haven't really bet on it. And look what you were able to do with someone else's company, right? That wasn't as good of a system. What if you actually bet on yourself? If it doesn't work, we live in Canada. I mean, not that we would want to, but there's welfare. You're blessed to have two parents who own a home in Waterloo. If you need to go live with them, you can do so. You know, you hear all the time, white men go move in their parents' basement and boom, build Facebook, boom, build Slack. Why can't you do these things for yourself? And I reminded myself of the man that said to me, the next time I see you, I want you to be advocating for your own company. You have everything to run for yourself. Why aren't you running your own company? And then I went into my director's office and I said, I got to talk to you. And she was like, oh no, I guess she felt it was always coming, because she always knew I had like a full life of different things that I did. And really that job was just supposed to be transitional. It really was supposed to be three months, and then went to 6 months, and then 9 months. And then you're just comfortable having a paycheck every 2 weeks. And you're like, woo, consistent money. This is nice. But I wasn't happy. And I just felt that as I'm inspiring other women and girls, like, follow your dreams. And one of my girls asked me, she's like, what is your dream? What, are you following your dream, Aminka? And it broke my heart, because I was like, I'm not following my dreams. And I just think that I cannot inspire other people if I'm not living my dreams. I always want to advocate for women and girls, and I always want to support them. But I too want a little bit something for myself. I too want to know that the skills that I have acquired and the work that I put in ever since I was a young girl coming to this country, I can leave something after it. You know what I mean? That people can say like, wow, she built something or she created something. So I took her into the meeting. I won't forget the day. It was January 30th because it was my friend's birthday. And I said, thank you so much for this opportunity. I've learned so much from you. You're so talented. But as you've noticed, I'm not happy. And I really took that time to reflect. And this is not for me, and I can't continue longer. So by April 30th is going to be my last day. And she's like, whoa, what? Bingo, what's going on? And she's like, I knew this was going to come, but I didn't think it was coming so soon. And I was like, yeah, I need to take my foundation seriously. I need to grow this, and I also want to grow my startup. But I really led more with the foundation because it was easier for them to kind of chew up. Oh, she's going to go do charity. Then she's going to go run a whole company. So I was just like, and I did. And we're August now, and I've been fully self-employed since August 30th. April 30th. It's the most scariest thing to do in the world, but it's the most freeing. And I'm not here advocating that people should quit their job. People do say that all the time, and I think that's reckless. What I'm asking is that the three things that I outlined, that you always prove yourself into whatever space you are in, right? That's so important. You have to always remember that you are keeping a promise to yourself, that you show up for yourself wherever you are in whatever space and industry it is, and that you're not doing a disservice by yourself and not soaking up the skills around you, that you're not asking people for help, that you're not too shy and too proud and too skilled and educated and work for a good company so you can't ask somebody for help, that you maximize those resources. And that the third thing, that you transform those skills. If you want to go from one position to the next, if you want to go from another company to another company, you know, I've said this to Amanda, and it's in closing, like, I just think the move that she made is just so inspiring. I think lots of times people get very comfortable even at a really amazing position, an amazing company, but you have to make that leap that works best for you. So I really want to encourage all of you that you make the leap that you need to in your career and in your life. And that led me to launch Wolfram Tech and make it available for the whole world. And so I'm so proud to announce some like very small like highlights and milestones, which I believe is not as updated. So we will give you another update, certainly suit you guys like. So we re-released the platform that you are using today on April 5th, just this year in a global pandemic. While everybody was panicking, I was like, nope, I'm gonna use this time to get my hustle. And mainly people need the solutions. They are gonna maybe laugh at me. They're gonna like disbelieve me, because lots of times I go in, I do a demo and people just wanna discredit knowing this is a good product while looking at it. I've noticed people will give other companies so many chances to be faulty, so many chances to not work, so many chances to have bad feedback, so many chances to just, you know how many Zoom calls that I've been that have not worked, and I know I'm not the only one, but yet we still give them their money because we're so more comfortable supporting a business that is not run by a Black woman. That's really what it comes down to. And so we've been active, this version, since April 15th. The headquarters is in Waterloo, Ontario. We have over 200 plus active users. And we've had, again, these numbers I think were a couple months ago, we've had over, I think now 650 virtual sessions created. And it is a message end-to-end secure encryption. It's safe. Our data centers in Toronto, it best runs on Safari, Firefox, and Chrome, and it's mobile and tablet compatible. So it works. I'm here to say that if you ever have the opportunity to try something new and to support a woman's product, look at it the same way that you would a white man's product, right? If you would give a white man more chances, then you need to give the woman or the woman of color more chances, because no global commodity or global company was just built like that in 12 months, not one single one. And all of us deserve grace. All of us deserve an opportunity to grow. And not only that, all of us deserve to grow how we want to, right? There's too many of this bro culture. Let's just get this money and get this like IPO and boom, and then you bust. I'm building this for the long term. I'm a Black woman. I got to build this so this is successful for my entire family, right? I got to build this so this is successful for my entire future kids and future generations. I don't have a legacy fund to rely on, right? So I got to work and hustle so that my children's children are secure and don't have to worry about that. So I really hope what I had to share today was of value, it was inspirational, or you thought that you can apply some things to your life. And thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you so much, Aminka. That was really great. I had a lot of laughs and heartwarming moments during your talk. We only have a few minutes left, but if there are any questions from the audience, feel free to post them now in the chat. But if not, I have a question or two for you. How, like, starting your business, funding is very important. How do you make that decision to bootstrap your own product or look for investments? And aside from that, how do you find people who are willing to collaborate with you? How did you find your CTO who has a shared vision in order to get your product live into the masses?
Perfect. Such a great question. So one, how did I find my CTO? So it goes back to that professional development, like 3 tips I was sharing. Soak up your resources. He actually was the CTO of the company we worked together. That's the funny thing. We went off and kind of did our own thing, and we left at separate times. So him and I, we were the only 2 Black people in the entire company. So he really sought me out, and he just really always advocated for me. And even though he left the company, him and I always kept in touch, and he kind of wanted me to do sales for another platform that he has. It's more educational based, and I just never always had time to do it. And then I was like, hey, I have this, like I really need help with this. I have this product, like how can we further develop it? So yeah, it really was because we actually worked together. So that's how I found him. 2, in terms of finance. And so finding your team and using resources around you really help. Lots of times people want to just raise funds because they haven't really found anybody who can help, and they haven't even looked to find anybody, right? So because I had him and it was me and him, we covered development, we covered security, we covered marketing, we covered business, we covered a lot of things with each other. So in that sense, we are I'm self-funded, but now we're able to receive because the government has now focused more on innovation aspect. We're able to receive grants from the government, and also now we're bringing in sales. So it's really a combination. You have to have your own startup fund, in the sense that either from your savings, right, or you just raise money so that you can build your MVP. But lucky for me, we could build it ourselves. So that just cut out $300,000 worth of cost. And then you have to do the work. I think a lot of people also want to raise money because they don't want to do the work and they want to pay their employees. So for others who want to start something, put a little money aside. So again, if somebody wants to come along and give you some BS, you can be like, I'm good because I have my own 5K or 10K. You don't need them. And then 2, seek out government resources around you because they are available. And I'm from what I understand, Netherlands is a pretty social and liberal country, so there should be some available. And then 3, do the work to get some sales and to get some traction. So when you do meet an investor, you can get the best investment, the investment fund that you want.
Thanks so much. Yeah, there are numerous resources available for the folks on the call today. I think everyone here is living in the Netherlands now. Yeah, you can. Startup Amsterdam is a great resource. Startup Delta, founded by Nelly Kroos, also a great resource. The government actually encourages entrepreneurs to move to the Netherlands and will pay and sponsor visas in order to start companies. Yeah, in order to start companies here in the Netherlands. So
Wolfram Tech headquarters.
yeah, you should think about it. So it's a very big innovation hub in the Netherlands. So there are a lot of resources available to the folks on the call too, and happy to have a chat about more local stuff later on as well. One final question for you before we head out: what was your biggest challenge? In very short, rapid fire response, what was your biggest challenge when starting this company?
It was getting my developers on the same page as me. That was it, basically. Because like I said, they see things in a totally different way. They don't look that it interacts with people. So yeah, it was just getting my developer on the same page with me to see the business objective and then the larger vision.
That was excellent, Aminka. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate you tuning in all the way from Montreal or Waterloo today.
I'm in Montreal. I'm back. I came back in July.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting our community. And this video will live on our social channels as well. So we really appreciate you taking the time. And I think everyone loved utilizing your platform. We had some good feedback in the chat as well. So it was great to hear your experiences. So thank you so much.
Perfect. Feel free to always reach out to me. My email's there. Amanda can share it. And yeah, sign up for Wolfram Tech. This is a shameless plug, and get your staff people involved.
Thank you, and speak to you all very soon. Oh. Okay, I'm going to close off the meeting. But if you want to continue the conversation, find us on Twitter at SheSharpNL. And most of our handles have the same handles. So I'd love to